You guys are recording now.
Okay. So hello, Kimberly, and whoever's here live and is going to watch this recording later. Our group today is presenting on what is plagiarism and how to deal with it. So first we'll do a quick overview of our topics before getting into introducing ourselves. So first we'll just explain what plagiarism is and define it, how to recognize plagiarism and the types of plagiarism besides written, which include videos, images, and music. We'll talk about ways to deal with plagiarism, how it affects team dynamics, as well as the consequences it has on students, such as academic misconduct. We'll get into some examples with students' work with common errors that are seen in reports. And lastly, we'll have a solution for individual students, global virtual teams, and for coaches. So first, I'll introduce myself. My name is April Borvaj. I'm a student from Canada, currently studying in international business and marketing. I competed in X Culture during the 2017 year, and I was successful to become a coach for this year. So now I'll pass it off to Blerta.
Yeah, hello to all. My name is Blerta. I study at University of Macerata. I just graduated in the master degree in international finance and economics. And today I will speak about the consequences. Now I will give the part to present to Emma. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Eva Espinosa and I've been part of the X Culture since 2014. I was part of the X Culture Symposium last year, and now I'm part of the coaching program this year. So I'm very excited, and I'll pass it to Suman.
Okay, hi, hello everyone. I'm Soman. I'm from Pakistan. I'm a junior and I'm studying social sciences and liberal arts. I'm majoring in political science from IBA Karachi, and currently I'm working as coach at X Culture. Now I'll pass it on to Yunge.
Hi, my name is Yunge Yu. I'm from China and I'm currently studying in the US. I have participated in the X Culture competition twice, and I went to the symposium last year. And now I'm in the coaching program. Very happy to be here. So we will start by defining what is plagiarism.
So, okay, let's first discuss the concept, the definition, and the complexity of the term plagiarism. And let's start it by defining it the way Oxford defines it. So the Oxford defines plagiarism as using someone else's words and ideas and presenting them as your own without providing a proper acknowledgement in the writing. So yes, this was a formal definition. So to understand the complexity of the term plagiarism, first we all know that these days internet is everywhere, information is everywhere, everybody has access to it. So it's really difficult to know about the originator of the information. So who actually who actually made the video, or who actually made have written the words, or who actually made the music. So that actually makes the work of plagiarism more complex. So to understand this complexity, let's try to understand the plagiarism as explained by the plagiarism spectrum in 10 different ways. So let's go through each of them. First of all, clone. That is actually submitting someone else's work in its entirety as one's own. The second approach is control plus C, which is actually copying major chunk of someone else's work as it is without providing citations and references. The third approach is find replace, which is altering mere some of the words that are at beginning or at the end, but copying the important content without references. The fourth one is remix, which is actually paraphrasing from different sources and mixing the work without referencing and adding any original work. The fifth approach is recycling, which is using the content from the writer's previous works that are not given as such and writing them without providing citations or giving wrong references. The sixth approach is hybrid, which is actually copying the content from one source and then quoting and unquoting from other sources without giving citations. The seventh approach is mashup, which is entirely copying content from multiple sources and then mixing it without citations. The eighth approach is 404 error, which is providing an inaccurate information about sources. The ninth approach is aggregator, which is providing no original work even if it's properly cited, just aggregating information from different sources and giving references. And the last approach is retweet, which is providing proper citations but using the same words, structures, and arguments of the writer again and again in the same paper with negligible amount of original work. So as we discussed these 10 different approaches to understand its complexity, let's move on to the copyright laws. So copyright laws are the laws that deal with literally offensive over someone's intellectual properties. So according to the copyright laws, punishments are given in the form of prosecution in the court of laws. But there are some exceptions to actually understand what comes under the radar of copyright laws and what does not. So let's go through each of them. What does not constitute copyright laws are compilations of readily available information, such as the phone book, works published by the governments, facts that are not the result of original research, such as the fact that there are 50 US states or that carrots contain vitamin A, or works in the public domain, like phone numbers of important state institutions. So these are all things that actually don't come under copyright laws or don't come under plagiarism. Now let's move on to plagiarism in art, music, videos, or in other kind of media. So we have three approaches to explain this. The first one is to copying images, videos, or music from one website and then pasting them on your own website without giving the originator proper credits. The second approach is performing another person's copyrighted music without giving him the credit. And the third approach is composing a music that borrows heavily from other compositions without giving the originator proper credits. So now, yeah, that was all from my part. Now Emma will discuss plagiarism and its effect on group dynamics.
Hi, I will be discussing the group dynamics and how it affects the group members. So first, the procedures on how to deal with plagiarism. First, verifying if the document contains any type of plagiarism work. There's different platforms where students can go and verify. There's a plagiarism checker, Turnitin, where they can, where they can check if the document contains any plagiarism. The secondly is that they can discuss the issue with the person who performed plagiarism, or just to verify that if there was some violation committed, maybe it's a confusion, just to make sure that they don't accuse somebody from committing plagiarism. Secondly, they should inform the person in charge, an instructor, a leader. In this case, in the X culture, they could let the professor know that they think that one of the team members is committing plagiarism. And lastly, following up with both parties whenever they inform the person, the instructor, or the student. Make sure that you keep on following up. That way, if there was a violation committed, it won't happen again. And based on plagiarism, there's also some effects on the team dynamics. First, it creates uncertainty among the team members where they're afraid if the team member might submit any work that contains plagiarism work. It also reduces the team creativity and productivity since the team members don't feel creative anymore and they don't feel that they can submit any more work. Team members also become hesitant on releasing delicate information about their team members because they don't want to throw someone under the bus, basically. So that's one of the effects that plagiarism has on the team dynamics. And some of the preventive tactics that could be used is to set up rules and expectations at the beginning of the project. There's different forms on how they can do it. They can put them on the syllabus or be at the beginning of the project. Those expectations should be very clear. Another thing is that they can submit individual work. And one of the good things about submitting individual work is that everyone is accountable of their own work. So that's one alternative that they can do as a preventive tactic. Another thing is that they share research information with all team members. Basically, they tell all the team members where they retrieve that information. And by showing that, that has different effects on the team. The team members will feel more comfortable because they know where that information is coming from. And some of the problems that arise within the group, if plagiarism is committed, is that the lack of trust within the other team members. If they know that plagiarism was committed, then they don't trust each other. And when you don't have trust in a team, it's very difficult to be successful in terms of completing an assignment or completing a project. And the lack of engagement and contribution, that's one of the big factors that could lead to the failure of a group. And I'll pass it on to Blerta.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, hi to all. My part is will speak about the consequences of plagiarism. As you can see in the slides, I will speak about which are the consequences of plagiarism. I will go through to the exclusion from the course, work going to get destroyed, exclusion from academic institution. So there are the three parts, which are the consequences of plagiarism. Often students can plagiarize, but of course unintentionally, and their work can be destroyed because plagiarism, of course, have kind of rules. They are not so the work. As we can see in those days, students can have those consequences can have very negative effects also for the students in their future. The consequences can be very huge when you want to copy and paste the others' ideas. The kind of consequences can be from the students because they destroy the reputation of the student. So the student can be exposed from the course and also even never can enter in any college, any high school, or any university before. This can happen to the students that actually can do their work like they are dishonest with their work and their own work they value that they have. So as we can see in the slide, in this kind of picture, it is the right arm. It's been the dean actually over to the students. As we can see, that can happen to the students who plagiarize. For instance, if we wanted to attend as the students are accepted to practice and also to submit original work, even can be an essay, can be a short paragraph, or can have also the thesis, even a bachelor or master thesis. It's supposed to be original work, not to be in copy and paste, and also not to have a plagiarism. There are kind of some forms of plagiarism. The exact consequences often depend, and this kind of dependency, if this can be kind of student can have those plagiarism, then we'll face various sorts of plagiarism. So, of course, students sometimes may say that everybody is plagiarizing and this will happen not to me. But the truth is that even those plagiarizing, it will be one day we'll be checking out. So it will be where those plagiarizing, all the work will be sitting, and of course we have to be searching and to see what somebody has done original work or not. The consequence of plagiarism can be extremely serious, can be exclusion from the course, work can be destroyed from academic institution, also there are illegal actions. The consequence of plagiarism can not only impact the student, but also can impact even famous figures, like for instance famous people, and also can have professional, ethical, and professional academics, journalists, authors, and others. The consequences of plagiarism can be personal, professional, legal, and also ethical. And about this thing about I say there are kind of universities and colleges and schools, they have an act, they have different kind of regulation about plagiarism. But when I came in the conclusion, has the same, because nobody wanted to have, no university, no high school, or any college would like to have a student that actually has done very dishonest job or done dishonest work. In this case, because this student is disvaluing himself, and also it is offensing someone else. In this case, someone else can be the person or author when the students can take their copy and passing on work. There are three tips for avoiding plagiarism. The first one is citing, because it is very important to cite every part of the work when the student is adding in his thesis or in his essay or whatever he's doing, for instance. Even those days, as I said before, is this increase in plagiarism because of the little eyes that close, so that's have the students. So in this case, they can have this avoiding plagiarism in three ways. It is cite your sources, it is keep track of your source. For instance, you can save or online, or maybe you can save in your computer. The other one, it is using the plagiarism checker. The plagiarism checker, it is take only 10 minutes that you can check all of your work, and then you will see if you copy and paste for someone else's work, and in this case you will avoid the plagiarism. And if you don't know what actually is a plagiarism, you can go and research in Google where is the difference between copy and paste, and where is the difference, what actually it is a plagiarism. But of course, it's better to say every word that you copy, even if it is an idea, or it is a page, or it is a short paragraph, or it is a code. It's better always to cite, because this will help you to be more professionally for the reader who will read your work, and also will be more professionally even for you too, because that will give you more more strong reputations. And when writing about a specific idea, it's good to use. There are two types of formats when you want to using this formats. The first one, it is MLA format, and then it is APA format. This will be very huge possibility and also very huge positive effect when you cite in this kind of format, because every work that you do, it's supposed to be citing and also in the reference part of the end of your essay and the end of your thesis or an end of every work you have it. Plagiarism research is especially words from a plagiarism, because the problems that this will have very not unprofessional will be for the students, and also it will be very unworthwhile. The plagiarism also impacted even the best university in the world, like Oxford and also the Harvard University. We have I have made some researching, and I see that in the UK there are some of students, they actually have done it a lot of plagiarism, especially in 2013. So a loss of over 5,000 students from the United Kingdom are from the universities of the UK are accepted from the course, and they are not anymore part of the university. And also they already has not the direct, in Harvard University, we have also, there are students, they are copy and paste and do plagiarism, and for this reason they are out of this university. So the best choice is, of course, we'll speak now, it is Yunge, we'll speak about the solution. But as I mentioned before, it's good to use the APA format and MLA format to use, to devoid or also to be more professional when you're doing your work. Thank you.
Great. Now I'll be talking about proper referencing. So as Blerta said, there is MLA and there is APA, but there is also Oxford, Harvard, and Chicago. And the preference for what type of referencing you already use is usually by your institution or your professor, or whatever region you're in. But specifically for X Culture, we are using APA, and that's why our report is on APA citations and why the section is on APA. So specifically, I will get into some key areas that should be addressed for APA citations. First, it is the comparison between in-text citations and your reference page. A lot of times, students will reference something in the reference page but won't do it in text where the information is actually posted. So if there's no correlation between the in-text and the reference page, it's actually academic misconduct because there is no two references there, and that needs to be fixed. With the reference page, if there is more than one line per reference, after the first line, the rest needs to be indented to the right. In addition, the reference list needs to be in alphabetical order. For the year of publication, that is usually listed on the article or wherever you are getting the information from. But if there's no year listed, you must put it in n.d. in lowercase and in brackets. And this means that there is no date for the information that you found. In addition, your whole report must be double-spaced with 1-inch margins and have a recommendation to use 12-point fonts Times New Roman. And this is actually what X Culture uses for their report submissions. There should also be a running head and a page header in addition to page numbers. And a lot of times students will forget to use this or will use it incorrectly, and I'll talk more about that in our common errors later on. And if you have any questions about how to proper reference with APA, you can always consult the 6th publication manual of the American Psychological Association, which is the APA citation book, which you can easily find when Googling online. So with common errors, I'm going to talk about 3 common errors. The first one is when you cite multiple authors in in-text citations. So if you look at the slide here, on the left we have an example of multiple authors that are listed. So it's taken not in alphabetical order, and this is because it's taken straight from the site, and as is listed, it's Cunningham, Nicola, and then Baisley, whereas you think you would do it by Baisley, Cunningham, and Nicola because that's alphabetical, but you are to take it straight off of what it says on the article page as it's listed by author. In addition, you need to include the middle initial and the first letter of the first name, which is shown here, so B.M. and then a comma. And you'd also need the and symbol, which is the ampersand symbol. And a lot of students actually forget to add that there. And if you don't add that there and you have a professor or an institution that is very strict with APA, that could be academic misconduct. So secondly, we have the absence of running heads and page numbers. And this is actually a very prevalent problem. So research conducted by JEPS Bulletin in 2013 in Europe found that 86.3% of papers didn't have a running head or used it incorrectly. And then in addition, 75% had no page number or formatted it wrong. And this is actually a very easy mistake, and it's very easy to fix. If you go into your Word document, there's an option to include a running head and an option to include page numbers, and it will format it exactly as it should be according to APA standards for you. So it's very easy fix and easy to do if you just follow the Word document outline. So lastly, we have the incorrect use of headers due to formatting problems. So if you look at the slide here on the right, those are 5 types of headers, with the first being the main header and the rest being subheaders. So I will use the example with reports so that students can easily understand this. So for the first line, you would compare it to section 1 market analysis in reports. So that would be the centered, boldface, uppercase, and lowercase heading with the following paragraph indented. So with following the section 1, for competition analysis, that would be your second line, which is the flush left, boldface, uppercase, and lowercase heading with the following paragraph indented. And underneath competition analysis would be your competitors and your SWOT, which is your second subheader, which is the indented, boldface, lowercase paragraph heading ending with a period with a following paragraph immediately after. And the last 2 subheaders, we don't actually see it often in reports because there's not that many subheaders needed. But if you were to use it, the next line would be italicized, and then following it would be unbolded. And those are some key areas and common mistakes that we're seeing in the reports. And now I'll pass it on to Yunge, and she'll talk about our solution.
So I'm going to talk about a solution to prevent plagiarism. So as we know, as culture students come from different cultural backgrounds, and some cultures view plagiarism as a serious topic, but others might pay less attention to it. However, when working on the X-Culture project, all students should behave with high standards of honesty. This means that plagiarism or any other kinds of academic dishonesty are not allowed. So to avoid plagiarism, make sure you did the following 3 things when borrowing ideas from other people. So first of all, paraphrase the ideas. If you think the information will contribute to your research, make sure to change the words and phrase in the original source. If you try to use more than 2 consecutive words, you need to use quotation mark. And secondly, make sure to include an in-text citation following the referencing style with authors, the date of the publication, and other information. By providing a proper citation after the text you have paraphrased, it will not be considered as plagiarism. And keep in mind, X-Culture use APA as their referencing style. And lastly, you need to provide a reference page, just to include a page of resources you have used with proper referencing style on the last page of your report. Students should follow the rules of APA throughout the report. As April mentioned, the reference should include the title of the sources, the name of the author, date of publication, and other information. So students can find some citation tools online to help them cite properly. Websites such as EasyBib and Citation Machine can generate proper citation for books, website links, and journal. So I will show you how to use these kind of tools. So for example, I'm using Citation Machine. So just start it over. And yeah. So you can choose the style. We are using APA, so I will just hit APA. And you can choose from books, magazine, newspaper, website, journal, film, other. For example, now I'm working on my final paper and I'm reading a book called The Age of the Economics, for example, of the economics, and I hit search books, and I'm reading the 1999 version, so I need to scroll down and find my version. So that's, by Daniel Fosville. So I will select this one and hit final step. They include the book title, the publisher, and other kind of information. So you can add the things you need. Like here we include the name of the author, and I'm citing the whole book. If you want to cite specific pages, you need to update the version, and there might be a fee involved. But you can get a general ideas of doing that, and you just create citation, and it will generate a citation in APA style. And if you are using, if you want to cite a website, that will be much easier. You just hit APA and go to website, and you find a website, you just copy and paste your website here, and it will generate a citation for you. But just keep in mind, this website only works for reference in the last page of your report. You need to do the in-text citation by yourself.
Okay.
And we also have some suggestions for global virtual teams to better manage the team. So before assigning each member with certain tasks, the team should set up rules together to avoid plagiarism. So some rewards and punishments can be given to encourage originality and creativity. So when the similarity percentage is up to certain points, the student who is responsible for that part should rewrite until the percentage is down to a lower point. And you can use tools such as Yunge or Spinbot to check your percentage, your similarity percentage. And after individuals submit their works to the groups, the leader, coordinator, or other student in the group can double check the work before submitting to Xculture via Turn It In. And you can get a general idea. You can just make changes if need. So when you submit the work, like the website I mentioned, Yunge and Spinbot, they will generate a similarity report and highlight the sentences which might involve plagiarism. And yeah, so before doing that via Turn It In, you are encouraged to check the work and make changes. Just don't get involved with plagiarism. That's bad. And we, as coaches, have established certain rules for students to prevent plagiarism. When students submit their work via Turn It In, we will see the similarity report, and if the percentage is up to a certain point, students will receive deduction or even receive a 0 in their report. And you don't want that to happen. So to summarize, zero tolerance for plagiarism. Teams are encouraged to do intensive research and balance the work by review as many sources as you need. However, just keep in mind when you are borrowing others' idea and when you get inspired by other people, please use in-text citation and reference. Please paraphrase the work and give them credit. Please do not just copy the exact sentence. Make sure you to paraphrase the ideas, and then you are good to go. But if you fail to do these, you will receive very bad results and get punished. You don't want that to happen. So please get prepared and be careful. So now we can go to the question part.
Sorry, guys, I'm just walking in. Oh, what was that last part that you guys said?
Yeah.
Are you guys just doing questions?
Yeah, if there was any coaches here with us, but it doesn't look like there's anyone live at the moment, so
I think it is
okay.
just us. I know John was here for a second, but yeah, I think it's just you guys. So you guys did a really great job on information. This is definitely a topic that we need to cover because every semester we have a lot of cultures that don't know the severity of what plagiarism can be. So you guys did a great job of not only identifying what it is and how to avoid it, but you also provided some tools to help. And that was really great visuals on how to set up a bibliography helper. So yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, you guys. And you guys are all done. And you guys have the rest of the time to enjoy. So well done.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, so we still have a coach meeting tomorrow, same time. If you guys are going to be able to join that, feel free. And also bring any information you have about your experience with the webinar. And we love to hear feedback on that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, have a great Saturday.
Thank you. You too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.